All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the podcast. My name is Memphis J. This is High Def Hoops, and this is an NBA podcast. We're also going to talk basketball in general. We're going to cover a lot of Memphis Grizzlies. This is the inaugural episode. I'm glad you made it. I know there's a lot of podcasts and definitely a lot of basketball talking heads out there, but you found me, and I'm glad you're here. Let's get started right off the bat. We got a brand new NBA season just got started last night. I'm recording this technically Thursday morning, but we've had we've had 2 days of games rather. So we'll cover a lot of the kind of headlines that are going on in the NBA, and as I want to say as always, but this is the very first one, so it's not as always, but we are also going to talk about Grizzlies because I am a Grizzlies homer, and that's my team. So I'm going to talk about the Grizzlies a lot as well, but we are going to cover the NBA in general as well. So we're going to talk a little bit of stuff, injuries. Kawhi's injured. DeJounte Murray got injured in the very first game. Of course, you've heard everybody talking about LeBron James and Bronny James making history. Celtics beat the Knicks while tying the three-point record, I believe it was. And other than that, everybody's wondering, where is Joel Embiid? So if you want to learn about those, stay tuned. We'll be talking about that. Other than that, we're going to be breaking down the Grizzlies preseason and the Grizzlies first game of the season. So stay tuned. I don't really know what I'm telling you to stay tuned for as I scratch my ear. I don't have an intro or anything figured out. So let me just talk to you for a minute before we get into this. I appreciate y'all. Again, like I said, I really wanted to get this thing going during the preseason, but I have been so busy, and I'm kind of new to podcasting. I'm not new to recording. I know how to do music a little bit and whatnot, but I'm new to podcasting. So y'all bear with me as I get this going. I'm excited about this. High Def Hoops. I'm a big basketball fan, and I really like the NBA mostly. Big Grizzlies fan. So that's mainly what we're going to be talking about. Like I said, I had a little bit of house cleaning to get out of the way before we get into everything else. It is the beginning of the season. Not too much to cover in the preseason until we get into talking about the Grizzlies. Of course, Boston won last year versus Detroit, and so everybody was looking to see how Boston would do. Boston did come out the gate and hit a bunch of threes and beat the Knicks pretty handily. Other than that, the first games of the season, the Lakers beat Minnesota 110-103. You got Anthony Edwards villain season loading possibly. Of course, like I mentioned, Bronny James did play a couple of minutes. I think the Lakers went ahead and got that out of the way. And, that takes us into Wednesday. I did not check out any of the games except the Grizzlies game, so I'll run through the scores on those really quick. Indiana beat Detroit 115-109. Cleveland beat Toronto 136-106. Milwaukee beat Philadelphia 124-109. Orlando won 116-97 over Miami. Brooklyn lost to ATL, sorry about that. And the New Orleans Pelicans beat Chicago tonight, but at what cost, as DeJounte Murray may have fractured his hand, I believe. We're still waiting to find out exactly what's going on that. Charlotte beat Houston. I wonder how much fun that... Never mind. We got Memphis beating Utah. We'll talk about that. And your final 2 games was Golden State beating Portland tonight 139-104, and Phoenix beat LA Clippers 116-113. So they squeaked by. Memphis was a pretty close game. A lot of these other games were pretty, I don't know, 4 or 5. It depends. The NBA, 2 points is a big difference. Sometimes in a game it can be a lot to overcome. A few of those games were blowouts, but looks like the start to a really good NBA season. So we'll talk a little bit more about what's going on overall in the NBA, maybe towards the end of this, but I do want to get into talking about the Grizzlies because that is a big part of this podcast, and mainly what I'm going to be focused on. I will cover some other things, but I mainly want to cover the Grizzlies and make sure we really do a good job of that. If I have a lot of listeners that have other NBA teams that you want me to focus on, I will try. Y'all let me know in the comments. And I'll try to cover what I can of those as well. But let's get it out of the way. The Grizzlies preseason. If you didn't watch, they had a pretty good preseason. They did not do bad. They didn't do amazing. They did. First game out, they beat the Mavericks, but the Mavericks didn't have any of their stars. We beat them 121 to 116. Second game, the Grizzlies lost to the Hornets 94 to 119. The third preseason game, the Grizzlies beat the Bulls. That was a good one. Squeaked it out in the end, 124 to 121 over the Bulls. And then the Grizzlies beat the Pacers, 120 to 116, and then lost to the Heat, 114 to 109. So they had 109, lost to that game. But we did notice, if you watched it, Ja Morant went down in the very first game, but everybody was hopeful that he would be back to start the very first game of the season, and he was. He looked fine for the first game, and so that was really good to see. The only person missing for the first game was Jaren Jackson Jr. and GG Jackson. I shouldn't have said the only person. Also, one person did not play. Yuki Kawamura. I haven't tried to say that. That's not hard to say. Kawamura. Yuki Kawamura. I'm going to get that right, y'all. Anyway, coming into it, the Grizz first game of the season, facing the Jazz. They're not at home. They're playing the Jazz in Utah. It was a really good game. Let me get to my notes here. Overall, I'll just cover what I saw, and then we can talk a little bit of the stats on how that went down. Utah got going early. They had a little bit of a lead, but Memphis responded pretty quick. I remember some notable plays. Pippen got a steal, and in the second quarter, Huff hit 2 threes. I feel like Huff hit a 3, then Pippen got a steal right after that, and then Huff hit another 3, and the Grizzlies were up 61 to 50 at the half. So the first half was really solid. Santi Aldama had 5 3-pointers. The Grizzlies overall had 12 3-pointers, so they were hot from deep in the first half. Coming into the second half, I remember there was a really cool play. It was like a steal on the ground. It's kind of getting it out of the mud kind of play. Ja ended up with it, and he ended up making a pass to Santi Aldama for the alley-oop. And I don't know if they called a timeout, but they went to a break, and you could see Ja Morant pretty animated, and he screamed something like, "I'm back," or "It's good to be back," something like that. It was good to see some energy out of him. There was another time right after that in the third quarter that Ja went at Collins, and then he steals, and then gets the shot plus the and one, and he was pretty animated over that one. It was a good play. It was nice to see Ja out there and being kind of that vicious dog mentality that Ja brings to it. At the end of the third quarter, Grizzlies were up 93 to 86, so they were winning by 7. One notable thing was that Edey only scored 6 points. He also, I think that's right, let me make sure, Zach Edey, 5 points. Zach Edey scored 5 points. He did get 6 personal fouls and was out of the game with 9:15 left to go in the fourth quarter. Notable though, he was up playing against like Kessler and Marketing, and these guys have a lot of experience. They've already played at least a season each, and they know how to exploit what's going on down low. So I'm not mad at him for that. He played hard. I think he will be fine. I think he'll get it figured out. He had a good preseason. I was excited to see how he would do, and he didn't disappoint. I'm really excited to see how he does playing significant minutes going into this season. So, there was a really big moment there in the fourth. They blew a 17-point lead with 6 minutes 45 to go in the fourth. But then very quickly, Bane hit a 3, and then Huff hit a 3. Bane was really playing his butt off at the whole game, but definitely in the third and the fourth quarter, he was out there really hustling, getting a lot of hustle plays, steals, and kind of chasing things down. Let me see, what did Desmond Bane was 40% from the field. He made 4 3-pointers. Let's see, steals. He did have 1 steal, 1 block shot, 1 turnover, 4 personal fouls. So 24 points overall. Definitely Santi Aldama was a real highlight for the Grizzlies. I also thought Jalen Wells and Brandon Clark were good, even though they didn't score a whole lot of points. They were really involved and played good for their time. The highest plus minus goes to Brandon Clark with 11. I'm kind of surprised because I was really enjoying Santi Aldama's play. He scored 27 points. He had the team high, and he had an 8 plus minus. So, covering that, we were, let's see, 116. We lost the lead with 2 minutes, 50 seconds-ish to go. We were tied at 116 maybe. And, I mean, it was a 3-point game with 1 minute to go. So Utah came back in this game and made it tough. But the Grizzlies survived. They definitely relied on people that know how to get it done. Ja Morant was huge in the third end. Got it done in the fourth as well. But our inaugural Claw and Order Award tonight, player of the game, goes to Santi Aldama with his 27 points. His, let's see, 5 rebounds overall, 2 assists. And I mean, those 27 points, he was crucial, hitting a lot of those threes and helping us get started and off to a good run early. So, overall, this was a really exciting game to see. I was really glad that the Grizzlies didn't lose it there at the end and, fall to the Utah Jazz. It's always tough to play your first game in somebody else's arena. Everybody's hype, everybody's excited to get back, and here you are having to come into that and kind of execute under pressure. But the Grizzlies did really, really well. And let's see, what do they have coming up? Next game is Friday night, October 25th, against the Rockets. And I believe that will be an away game. Yes, that is an away game. So they will be in Houston playing the Rockets. Other than that, there's not a lot to talk to. Ja Morant was really solid. I'm glad to see him back and kind of playing to himself. I watched a few different interviews. The one interview that was done by the commercial appeals writer, I can't think of his name right now, but they do really great stuff with the, I think it's the Locked In Grizzlies podcast. I enjoy that one. They talked about, he did an interview with Morant, and if you haven't been following the Grizzlies, of course, if you haven't been following them close, most people know he was out on suspension and had some trouble last season. He was suspended for the first 20-something games, came back for a few games and was injured really early, and then kind of the season went down from that. But it was exciting to see him coming back, and before the season even got started, hearing some of these interviews, it was exciting to hear him say he had matured and that he had thought a lot about it. I'm really hoping that, not like I'm going off, but letting your team down, not by getting injured, but the suspension and then not being able to come back and follow through with a solid season. I know he's the type of person, I imagine he's the type of person that really wants to deliver and wants to be, kind of the top dog and the person that gets it done if his name's on the flyers and in all the pictures and promos. So he definitely wants to live up to the expectations. He's not ever been one to shy away from the moment. So I'm glad to see it, but I heard a little bit of maturity in some of the things he was saying. One of the questions that stuck out to me was they asked Ja, with all of the new stars that are kind of taking the spotlight last season with you being out, what do you think about that? How does that make you feel? And he said, I've definitely been watching, but it kind of takes the pressure off of him because nobody's really saying, oh, he's got to do it, he's the number one, he's the face of the league anymore. There's other faces to look at. So that's actually really good to hear that he's focused and got his head in a good place. I mean, I think that's the number one main thing you want to hear about people playing on your team. I'm a basketball coach myself, and you always want to make sure your people are good and happy, number one, and all right. And that's the most important. Always take care of your people. So, speaking of that, let's get into just some NBA news all around. Boston beat the Knicks and the Lakers beat Minnesota. So Boston looked really impressive. There's not a lot I can say. They've got a great solid team, NBA champions. They did what you'd expect them to do. The New York Knicks still kind of getting it together, made some trades in the offseason. I'm interested to see how those will work out. LA Lakers did beat Minnesota. I did not watch the game. I heard a few different people commenting like, "Oh my gosh, I know everybody stayed up all night to see the Lakers," but I didn't. I knew it was going to happen, and I don't know what it is. His son Bronny got a couple of minutes. I heard somebody saying I think that they just kind of got it out of the way so that everybody wasn't talking about when will the first time they check into the game. They just checked into the game together, and awesome. I believe also LeBron set the most misses record or something else but he's been playing forever, so that's to be expected. Um, Coming into tonight's games, meaning Wednesday night's games, I'm not a huge fan paying attention to a lot of these teams. Golden State beating Portland, kind of to be expected. Phoenix beating the Clippers, with it being a close game. That might be one I'll go back and watch just out of curiosity. New Orleans did beat Chicago, but like I said, DeJounte Murray injured his left hand, I believe, just 30 minutes into the season opener. So that's a major setback for the team and, the league in general. DeJounte Murray's been playing great. I hope you get well soon, my man. As well, Kawhi Leonard. And there's a lot of people talking about what should be his next move. I don't know. Is it a knee injury? I need to refresh myself a little bit more. I know that he's out, and it's kind of an indefinite thing that he's out. So sad to hear that. But if you look at his numbers for the last couple of years, I know he hasn't played significant and straight through or anything. But, well, I mean, I'm not going to say it. Other notable performance stories. I think I mentioned already that the Celtics tied the record for the most three-pointers in a game with 29, overtaking the New York Knicks, kind of to be expected, as I said. The NBA teams are monitoring Giannis Antetokounmpo's future, wondering how committed to the Bucks he is. And so that will be a future story we'll keep monitoring. Also, Joel Embiid was absent for the 76ers, and they're under investigation for potentially violating the league's player participation policy due to his early season absence. So that's a story we're going to have to get a little bit more information and bring back to you for the next time. So anyway, I've been talking a long time. I guess I better get used to that if we're going to be doing podcasting and all that fun stuff. I'm right at the end of about 20 minutes roughly before editing, so I am going to start to wrap it up here. I do really appreciate you for checking this out. Like I said, there's a lot of people talking basketball out there, and I hope you enjoyed hearing me talk about it for a few minutes here. I am really excited about this season. I'm really excited about the Grizzlies season. This is the 30th anniversary season. I think it would be a great season for some amazing history to be made in Grind City. Just saying, that's my prayers. I'm just gonna go ahead and put it out here. Father in heaven, let the Grizzlies win a championship. Am I biased? Yes, I am a Grizzlies fan, and I really hope they can get a championship one of these years. And I hope this year could be it. So I'm gonna keep my I'm gonna keep my hopes and my dreams alive, and we're gonna keep plugging along. I don't know how often and regular I will be able to do these podcasts. I'm gonna try to cover most of the Grizzlies games, at least doing a little bit of a wrap up and giving you my take on it, and hopefully a little bit of breakdown of what's going on in the rest of the NBA season. what's going on in the rest of the league. I mean, other than that, I really do appreciate you checking this out. This YouTube page is still really trying to grow and build our following. So if you enjoyed this, consider subscribing. Wherever you're listening to this, I appreciate it. Please log in, subscribe, like, follow, share, all that good stuff. And hopefully we'll make some more of these and you'll be here to check it out. And we'll watch the Grizzlies win a whole bunch of games. So that's my plan. Anyway, I hope you're well. I hope you and your family are having a great week. And I wish you a good rest of the week or whatever time you're listening to this. If nobody's told you today, we love you. I love you. And you're appreciated. So don't give up on yourself. And your story is not fully written. There's more to it. You just got to get busy. And I don't know who needed to hear that, but maybe somebody needed to hear that. So we're going to try to keep this positive and motivational as well. So again, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for the support. I hope everybody out there is doing marvelous. And other than that, go Grizz.